breaking RFK Jr. to run as an independent. And let's listen to what he says. Now, the story of him running as an independent is leaked on Mediaite. Mediaite reported this, and we'll get to the article or the headline at least. But here's his announcement about an announcement on the 9th, a big announcement on the 9th. So,
hi, everybody. I'm going to be in Philadelphia on October 9th to make a major announcement at the very birthplace of our nation. I'm not going to tell you right now exactly what that announcement will be. I can say, though, that if you've been waiting to come to one of my public events, this will be the one to come to. I'll be speaking about a sea change in American politics and what your part and my part is in that change. A lot of Americans who had previously given up any hope that real change would ever come through the American electoral process have begun to find new hope in my candidacy. And I understand the deeply felt concern that people have about the way corruption has overtaken our government. It's in the executive branch, it's in Congress, it's in the leadership of both political parties. And so some people feel a kind of cynicism alongside the hope, or they lose hope entirely because they've been disappointed so many times. I want to tell you now what I've come to understand after 6 months of campaigning. There is a path to victory. The hope we are feeling isn't some kind of trick of the mind. We all recognize that there's a genuine possibility of national transformation, and its source is the goodness of the American people. Our government may be crooked, but our people are kind, brave, and caring. That goodness is stronger than the divisions that are keeping us all apart. I see it every day on the campaign trail, and the more I see it, the more I trust it. And the more I trust it, the more the path to victory becomes visible. So how are we going to win against the established Washington interests? It's not through playing the game by the corrupt rules that the corrupt powers and the vested interests have rigged to keep us all in their thrall. Instead, we're going to have to rewrite the assumptions and change the habits of American politics. We're going to tap into a mighty surge of people power to reclaim an honest, peaceful, just, and prosperous America. So I am inviting you to join me in Philadelphia on October 9th. There I'll share with you our path to the White House and how we can all participate in healing our nation.
So that is the story. I wanted to pause with this information on the screen. All right. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr., historic announcement. Now, like I said, a lot of in politics, they leak the story, even though they pretend like they're going to keep it a secret. This is not a secret. We already know what he's going to be announcing. And I think, a couple of telltale signs. It's in Philadelphia. That has something to do with United States history. I can guarantee you he's going to be talking about or sort of reflecting on that, the speech that he gives that day. And then this is an historic announcement. The reason I think it's historic is that he would probably be the first Kennedy to run as an independent, not a Democrat. And that's, it's Democrats in his blood. He just said this he's a Democrat through and through. So he's not doing a clean break, but he is going independent like a lot of his followers wanted him to do a long time ago. So he's in an unusual position where he has the sort of pandemic, anti-vaccine, anti-COVID people strong for him. And then the anti-establishment, sort of like he has the appeal like of a Tulsi Gabbard, but better, like a broader. So it's very hard to sort of describe. I always thought that being in a Democratic Party, though, it didn't feel like that was a natural fit for some of the things he was saying. So now let's go to the Mediaite headline here. And this is Nick dropped this on us. Exclusive. RFK Kennedy Jr. planning to announce independent run. And this is what Nick has to say. I have criticisms of RFK or Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but he actually told the Democratic Party to fuck around and find out, unlike that coward Bernie Sanders, who allowed the Democratic Party to screw him. And I can't say I disagree with anything in the statement by my brother, RBN brother, Nick. Let's read what else Nick says. I'll admit, didn't expect him to do it. Not going to ever support a Zionist, but this candidacy is actually interesting. All right, so let's get to some of the other receipts here. Even Ryan Graham chimes in here. We live in such weird times that this is actually terrible news for Donald Trump. So again, now is a good time to insert that previous clip because Ryan Graham, of course, here to swoop in and say a bunch of nonsense. That's his job. Let's listen to CNN talk about this right here. Let's listen.
Would he hurt Biden or might he hurt Trump?
Well, we're more likely to have probably a 3 or 4-way race than we are to have a non-Trump candidate as a Republican nominee. If you look at whether it's Robert Kennedy coming out and doing his own thing, you've got this no labels candidate potentially that could be another
possibly Jim Manchin. We don't know.
Yeah, and I mean that's a more likely scenario, and we can debate sort of who they take share from. But if you've got Robert F. Kennedy and you've got a candidate that, let's argue, is center right.
Well, you got Cornel West also.
Cornel West.
Right, don't forget him.
An interesting dynamic.
So I've looked at data around this, and on the one hand, you would assume actually that RFK, because he's doing really poorly in Democratic primary polls, would maybe actually pull more Republican voters. His message on things like vaccines, he's got this more populist kind of message. But the data that I've seen suggests he kind of pulls equally from both sides. So at the moment, I think his influence would be a little bit unclear for Wash. Doesn't clearly benefit.
Right. So, of course, Ryan Graham is wrong when it comes to that. Let's now go to Mediaite and bring up the article and read a little bit about it. 2024 presidential candidate RFK Jr. plans to announce he will run as an independent on October 9th in Pennsylvania. Mediaite has learned Kennedy's campaign machine is now planning attack ads against the Democratic National Committee. Oh, Lord, this is not going to be good for the Democrats. This is not going to be good. It's just so many things that's falling in place against the Democrats. For example, this shutdown that's happening right now. CNN did a poll. Democrats are getting 39% of the blame. Republicans, 33%. 22% say both. So it's not working out for the Democratic Party, but let's continue with the article. I'm going to read this part again. Kennedy's campaign machine is now planning attack ads against the Democratic National Committee in order to pave the way for his announcement in Philadelphia about running as an independent, according to a text reviewed by Mediaite. You mean like from RFK Jr. or his campaign manager? Because somebody in the camp leaked this to Mediaite. But let's continue. Here's a quote. Bobby feels that the DNC is changing the rules to exclude his candidacy, so an independent run is the only way to go, end quote. A Kennedy campaign insider told Mediaite. So no, it was an insider. So they did it purposely. So just in case they were trying to act like, they just found this out. No, the campaign leaked this. Kennedy, a notorious anti-vaccine conspiracy theory. Now, this is what the words say. This is nonsense. That has nothing to do with him running. Challenging incumbent President Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination has been flirting with a third-party run in recent weeks. The New York Times reported last week that he met with the chair of the Libertarian Party, raising the prospects of a departure from the party that decades ago became synonymous with his family name. Kennedy remains far behind Biden in polls, yet while the Times reported, quote, Democrats worry that a third-party run by Mr. Kennedy could draw votes away from Mr. Biden and help elect former Donald J. Trump, end quote. It's unclear whether such a run would hurt the current president more than the Republican nominee. And now this is where I can insert one of my initial ideas when I first heard this. And I'm going to read you verbatim because I sent this to my RBN people when I saw this news. I may have a different take. I was still sort of mulling over and reading things. I may have a different take on RFK Jr. running as an independent, in particular with the Libertarian Party, but I don't think he's not running with the Libertarian. They had some sort of disagreement, as what Sabrina told me. But then I go on to say this part. If he's been a lifelong Democrat, so he loves the Democrat, then he sees a Green Party candidate like Cornel West that could tilt the scale to Trump as a diehard Democrat, like RFK Jr. has said, he just said this 2 weeks ago. I have Democrats is in my blood. So if that's true, this is what I was thinking. As a diehard good Democrat, wouldn't you try to help the Democrats by running in the Libertarian Party, which he's not running in Libertarian, that's what I wrote in the text, but running independent, even independent, not even just Libertarian, to balance out the third party influence on the election. Now, we had the woman on CNN on the panel on with Jake Tapper say that the stuff that she's reading, he pulls from both, but that could be just bullshit that she's saying. That could just bullshit to sell this whole idea. Now, I don't land firmly on any of this. I'm just saying this is a theory we must keep on the table, because this guy has said that he's down with the Democrats, like it's in my blood through and through. And I don't believe he thinks in his head that he's going to win. I don't believe that at all. So when I put those two things together, when I first heard this, now what made me think this even more was the Libertarian part. So I'm backing off of it a little bit because it's not Libertarian. The reason it would make this, it was solidified to me if he was running as a Libertarian, is because Libertarians have more access than the Green Party. Libertarians have more money. Libertarians take corporate money. You get what I'm saying? So if it was Libertarian, I would definitely have an opinion like this, where it's like, nah, it feels like he's going out to protect the Democrats because Cornel West is going to pull, or in the way they describe it, Cornel West is going to, some non-establishment people that will vote for Democrats, they're going to vote for Cornel West. So why not have the same thing to sort of even it out? Well, sort of like Gary Johnson, Dr. Jill Stein's situation. So that's how I was looking at it when I first heard this news, if he runs as Libertarian. But if he's not running as Libertarian, I don't believe it as much, or I need to see more evidence that this would be the case. But then there's just the notion that he's running as an independent because of what he's saying. So those are the two sort of pathways that belief systems. But anyway, let's continue. Indeed, polls show Republicans have a far more favorable view of Kennedy than Democrats, as the National Review pointed out in July. When a survey asked New Hampshire Democrats to describe Kennedy in one word, the top responses were crazy, dangerous, insane, conspiracy, unknown. I don't see how that, if it was a poll, but this is just some words to describe him. Conservative media has been far more supportive of Kennedy's campaign as well. They haven't been supportive of his campaign. They're just allowing him to speak in order for Joe Biden to lose. So it's not like Fox News likes RFK. They want him on. And I guess there's sort of a little bit of affinity to him because of his stance on COVID and his stance on Ukraine, because it aligns with the conservatives that watch Fox News. I guess you can say that part. So I guess that could be a point. Quote, I think he should run as third party candidate because I do think he should. He would win is because his party's radical elements. Sorry, let me say all of this feels jumbled to me. I think he should run as a third party candidate because I do think he should. He would win is because his party's radical elements, what we call the woke, have embraced this fascist clampdown on language. Gutfield. Now, this is Greg Gutfield. Wow. I didn't read that part. Conservative media has been far more supportive of Kennedy's campaign as well. I didn't read this sentence here. Fox News host Greg Gutfield proposed that the political scion run as a third party as a third party in July. He did do that. I do remember that. And this is the quote. I don't remember this quote, but I do remember him doing a show on that. We're going to go back to Twitter from Ryan Knight, friend of the show, friend of the network. Breaking: Robert F. Kennedy is planning to run as an independent. This is a good thing for everyone who cares about voter choice and democracy. While I am supporting Cornel West, I strongly support the public having more choices on election day than two corrupt corporate parties. And I agree. Here's Kim Iverson. I feel like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the perfect candidate for somebody like a Kim Iverson or the people who listen to Kim Iverson. But let's read this here. This was back in April, 2 weeks after RFK presidential kickoff. RFK, I would love to have you back on the show in light of the news. You're now going independent. I wonder if she tried to reach out to him behind the scenes, and she hasn't gotten a reply, so she's just kind of going public with it to see if that gets his attention. Let's listen to the previous interaction. This is a 2-minute clip.
Does this give you second thoughts about running as a Democrat? That's my big criticism about your campaign, is that you're running as a Democrat. You won't give it up. I feel like you should run as an independent. They're not going to give you
They've been pushing him to do this
platform and the time that you deserve, especially for a party that claims they're all about democracy. This seems to be antithetical to democracy. How are you going to get around this blockade that they're clearly putting up?
Well, I will point out that if I did run as an independent, there are no primaries there, and there are no debates either. But I'm running. The Democratic Party is my home. I feel like the Democratic Party has lost its bearings. It's become the war party. It's become the party of censorship. It's become the party of corporate control and big pharma. It's become the party of fear, and that I need to do whatever I can to reclaim the party to what it used to be, the party of JFK, of FDR, of Robert Kennedy. And so, I'm very peaceful with the choice that I've made. I hope that President Biden will change his mind and that he will engage in debates and some or town halls or retail politics of some kind. I think the people of this country deserve that. I intend to run a campaign against Mr. Biden or President Biden that is congenial, that is respectful, that has decorum.
That had to have turned off his supporters. This decorum, this civility politics bullshit. But this sort of clip speaks to what I was saying earlier. It just feels like if he just said it earlier. He's I'm a diehard Democrat. Like really, like then it would feel like maybe this is I'm trying to balance the third party ticket in order to make sure a Democrat wins. So this is the Children's Health Defense.org breaking RFK to announce independent run for U.S. president. I think that's an organization associated with him. Here is Anya, journalist at the Gray Zone. I initially saw RFK's probable independent run. Okay, here goes. Here we're getting into where I was thinking along the lines I thought. So let me read what she says here. Let me just go zoom into her post. I initially saw RFK Jr.'s probable independent run as a grenade aimed at Democrats. Now that I've seen MAGA's reaction, I'm open to the argument that his independent campaign would hurt Trump more than any other candidate. And then she puts up a poll. What do you think? And who do you think an independent RFK hurts most? I kind of think it has the potential of Trump. But this is kind of, oh no, 60-40. So it's 2,800 people that has voted. Or let me read this part because she responds. Trump, but only marginally. He visited with the head of the Libertarian parties recently, which both revealed as much as it signals. Won't much matter, though. Biden can't get through the spring. Kamala could be appointed to, vacate seat. All right. Interesting scenario is all she says. Here's the fucking People's Party. Let's read the People's Party's reaction here. Actually, let me read this part first. 2 weeks ago, the People's Party commissioned a YouGov poll that shows RFK already had 70% in the general election as an independent. He draws support equally from Biden and Trump. If the 2024 presidential election was held today between these candidates, who would you vote for? Donald Trump? Okay. This looks even here. Now when you add him in. So this is pre-RFK, right? You see? This is post-RFK. So Trump in this pre-RFK poll is ahead of Joe Biden by 1 point. Now, when you add RFK in, the numbers go down for everybody, but it's still a 1 point lead. Look where he pulled. The Libertarian, he pulled the most from the Libertarian. That's 4 points. He pulled to the Libertarian and 2 points from Cornel West to 70%. Now, we must have this caveat. This was commissioned by the People's Party. That's not exactly a left radical. They're more libertarian. They're not left. They're more libertarian, as is Nick Brana. He draws from both equally. That's what makes him a unique threat to win and break the duopoly. Like, that's not happening. Oh, let's see this guy. Let's see. Here goes Mehdi Hasan. I'm old enough to remember when a bunch of self-styled lefties on this website all got mad at me for calling RFK a spoiler candidate because he couldn't be a spoiler because he was running as a Democrat and not an independent. Or so I was repeatedly told. He wasn't a spoiler now, and now he is. I guess so. I'm going to play this while that is, I'm bringing up the other thing. Because the Jesse Waters segment is too good to not include that here. It's too good for the subject. I'm not saying he's making great points. It's too good of information not to include in this segment. So let me see if I can find it. Now, this says, what impact will a third-party run have on 2024? Let's listen.
2024 presidential candidate Ron DeSantis arguing his case to Bill Maher for why he's a better choice than former President Trump. Here with their take is New Jersey GOP voter David Cipher, New York City mother and Democrat voter Daniela Souza Igorov, and Republican voter and retired police and firefighter Patrick McManus. It's a pleasure to have you guys on here.
Now, this is a broad answering.
Get this off the top, because we're
how
going
does
to talk
third
about two
parties
candidates now,
affect?
but there are two people that are running for president. If you were voting today, who would vote for President Trump? If you were voting today, who would vote for President Biden? So we got at least one undecided and a couple that may be persuaded. We don't know. I want to ask you about Ron DeSantis. I would imagine you guys watched the debate and saw that. Yeah. Ron DeSantis really points out two things. And Pat, I'll go to you first since you said you're voting for Trump. He says he has a better record on COVID, and he says that he's the only one that can actually get elected. What do you think about that?
I like DeSantis early, but he hasn't had the bump that he needed. I think he may have made a mistake early when he refused to go after Trump. Early on, he said he was not going to engage in that type of smear campaign. Unfortunately, that's what gets people elected these days, and I think he may have made a mistake, and I think it's a little too late for him to have the bump that it would take to overcome the massive lead that Donald Trump has right now.
Danielle, you watched the debate. Ron DeSantis did pretty well. A lot of people think he won. There were others there. What did you take from the debate, or Ron DeSantis specifically?
I think all the candidates,
I did see this video, but I saw the second half of this, and the rest of this is going to be Ron DeSantis. But I did find the Jesse Waters clip. The reason why I thought this was important to include, because on the conservative side, whether or not RFK running as an independent will take too much from Trump. Let's listen. So Jesse Waters has this guy on who's like, no. He's going to take way too much from Trump, and I don't like it, pretty much. So let's watch this exchange.
The guy can't find his way off of a stage. Look, here's a stage. Here's a stage. I've never seen this stupid stage before, right? I've never seen it. But if I walk left, there's a stair.
Clowning him.
And if I walk right, there's a stair. And this guy gets up. Where am I?
You telling me Joe Biden's gonna debate this guy? The guy who doesn't care about no fucking civility, he will get in the debate and be like, "Hey Joe, why are you wandering over there, Joe? What did you say, Joe? That didn't make it." Like, he would point that shit out. He wouldn't just overlook.
Where?
That's the
right here.
All right, let's put the Newsom thing to the side for a second. RFK Jr. going independent. What does that mean?
Well, what you will have is an anti-establishment candidate running against another anti-establishment candidate in Trump. So I don't necessarily agree that it all cuts against Joe.
But a majority of the RFK Jr. voting base would go against Biden.
Hopefully. But you've also got a vaccine COVID-obsessed Democrat Party who may not love everything the guy on the screen is saying.
He's making some good points here.
Polling at 15% in the Democratic primary.
I hope you're right.
What would he poll in the Republican primary?
I've met plenty of Republicans who say, I kind of like that RFK Jr. guy. Now,
more than Trump,
it's not going to work.
Right.
No, you're right. Against Trump, no.
Right.
But I've been listening to a lot of conservatives tonight throughout the day who are saying, careful about this. This may not be as clear-cut against Biden as we think. Welcome to the churn. This is the churn. The next couple of weeks and months, including the next topic we'll talk about, is the churn. Big things are about to change. Because the polling out of the last debate, Trump gained 5 points after the second Fox News debate.
I'm disagreeing with you strongly. There is no way that this is worse for Trump than it is for Joe Biden.
I didn't say that.
His name is Kennedy. His name is Kennedy. People are just going to wander into the booth.
So this is the debate that Anya from Gray Zone, that tweet I read, this is the debate. Before she thought, hey, no, this is good. Just going to take from the Democrats. And then I guess there's a MAGA or having a debate about this, and you can see it here. It's displayed in this, or it's illustrated in this short clip. Is that there's half that think, no, what are you talking about? And then there's half, way he's non-establishment. Trump is supposedly, he's not non-establishment, but that's the mask that he wears during the election, is that he's non-establishment, right? That's his whole appeal. So if MAGA is having this debate, then let's revisit what I said. What I was thinking was that RFK Jr., and even in the clip with Kim Iverson, I'm a diehard Democrat. So if I have that in my head, that he's a diehard Democrat, I love the Democrats, I want to bring them back to what they were when my father and my uncle were there. Can't see Trump win again, so let's listen.
Booth Democrats and see Kennedy and just get misty-eyed.
Didn't say it's gonna overwhelmingly hurt Trump. I said it's not as clear cut.
I agree.
And what they're gonna do is it's all part of a churn that's coming. And I agree with the second part of your assessment.
Okay. Do you mean Kamala should maybe look around?
It's perfect. It's perfect. They can't pass up the first black female VP unless they find another spot for her.
Will she?
So they go on. This is interesting. They go on to say that Gavin Newsom will appoint Kamala Harris as a senator so that he could take the place of VP for Joe Biden, or even top of the ticket. Something like that. Let's listen to this theory here.
She's from California.
Will she go willingly?
Welcome to the cloakroom, the smoke-filled room. Kamala, your political future is done. You're never going to be the president.
It's going to be
no one will accept it. So take a permanent Senate seat for the next 40 years, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
And Gavin, I was in the spin room with him at the debate.
I saw the interview.
All right. The guy, the lodestar for Gavin Newsom is Gavin Newsom's political future.
Right.
And so he's going to make the pick that makes the best sense for him. Now, maybe it's your girl, Maxine Waters. I don't know. Your girl.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
Maybe
it's your girl, Maxine, but probably not.
Right.
So if he was given the opportunity to a pathway, he's campaigning in every single way except pretending to be loyal to Joe Biden.
Is this crazy? Is this a crazy idea? Is that actually something in consideration? Realistically, are you just being good television?
Yeah, he's being good. He's being good television. He admits it right there. He's being good television, which is funny. I can watch that show for laughs. Like, I can watch these shows as long as I understand this is comedy for me. I'm not at all, you know what I mean? I don't watch CNN to get the real news. I don't watch Fox News to get the real. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't watch CNN to get the real news. I go there for comedy relief and for research up